among the Palestinian people that is, they're lashing out because they're in a position of desperation. I don't approve of the harm that is being done there either, and my biggest concern is for the people as well.
تسلم ايديكم. الله اكبر. تسلم ايديكم. مجندة الله اكبر.
من الحين الشيطان غواني واخذتها هيك نيمتها وشلحت العين وعملت اللي عملته. نمت معها.
ما نمت هذا النوم. انت ما نمت معها، شو عملت؟
اغتصبتها. هي قاعدة تدفش في حالها ولما بعد ما طولش الوضع يعني سمعت في صراخ برا. مع الصراخ في اثنين اجوا شابين. ما خدش دقيقتين او دقيقة ونص ما لحقناش. في اثنين شباب دخلوا من باب بقوة الا صوت الصراخ الحجة. مش عارف هي امها ولا من هي.
The vast majority of the world would look worse in comparison to Switzerland. Switzerland is really good. You go down the list, you have Israel here in the top 25. You go down the list, you have Turkey somewhere here. You go down and go down. Now look at this. 111, you have Palestine. Together, the West Bank and Gaza. In fact, there is a growth between the years 2010 and 2022. There is a growth. So they have been getting better at the Human Development Index. On spot 111. Surrounding them are Lebanon, South Africa, Indonesia, one of the most independent, largest Muslim countries in the world, the Philippines, Botswana, you have Kyrgyzstan, you have Morocco here. You have people in Morocco going around saying, oh, poor Palestinians, they have been treated like shit. They have been treated like animals. Of course, they had to do this. They had to do this. They had to go out and kill and rape and all that. Morocco has a worse human development index than Palestine. Bangladesh, Iraq, they're worse. And before I go further down, look, as I just pointed out, 1 to 69 is very high. 70 to 118 is high. 119 to 159 is medium. 160 to 193 is low. So until 118 it is considered high. By that standard, what they call Palestine here is considered high. So Palestine right, has a high human development index rating. Does this really mean that this is a horrible place? Does this mean this is a horrible place? Oppressed? No chance, no choice but to go out and kill people and to rape people? This is not oppression. This is ungratefulness. This is not oppression. This is the lack of gratitude. It's not oppression. It's not open air prison. It's not concentration camp. It is the lack of gratitude, the lack of appreciation, the lack of concern for others, the lack of concern for yourself, what you have. I can't say that Palestine is that great anymore right now. No, Gaza has very much turned to rubbles. Whose fault is that? Is that the fault of Israel? No, it's the fault of these very people here, because they do not know how to appreciate things. Somalia. Yemen. Look at this. You have Yemen. You have the Yemeni Houthis going around and wanting to support Palestine, right? You have Somalians around the world supporting Palestine. You have Afghanistan supporting Palestine. They are all significantly worse. They are all in the low human development index category compared to Palestine, which is in the high category. This is the reality. This is the reality, okay? And yes, Zach said, just imagine if they spent the terror tunnel money on their population. This is exactly the point. With all that they have, they are begging the world to help them. The world actually is stupid enough to help them, right? And to make their lives even better than it is, which is why... Wait a minute, where's Pakistan, by the way? Wow, man. Wow. What should I even say? What the hell should I even say? Pakistan is on 164. Pakistan is 164th on a ranking of the Human Development Index. Palestine is on 111th on the Human Development Index. And you have Pakistanis walking around, running around everywhere saying, free, free Palestine, oppression, they're being oppressed, man. They're being oppressed. They're being oppressed, man. Come on, man. They're being so oppressed, bro. This is just a regular Arab country. Seriously, this is just a regular Arab country. Egypt is right here. Lebanon is right here. It's just an irregular Arab country. Has nothing to do with Israel, nothing to do with Jews. Israel is not oppressing these people. Israel is not doing anything to these people. Israel hasn't been doing anything to these people. The only thing that Israel did together with Egypt was to blockade the Gaza Strip and be in charge of what goes in and what goes out for only one single reason, which is that Hamas said, since they took over, that they have no intention to make peace and mutual recognition with Israel, and that they will stick to their promise to take all of the land and conquer all of it and destroy Israel and kill the Jews. This is why Israel has been imposing, together with Egypt, a blockade, and has been letting them live for free with the support of all the others who are living worse than they do. Humanity is so stupid. So stupid. People are so stupid.
But one of these groups very clearly has far less access to power and resources, and right now stands in more immediate and dire need of life-saving aid. And so if you are in a position to help the Palestinian families that are struggling, I want to point you in the direction of Operation Olive Branch, an account that has access in their bio to a spreadsheet that consolidates information about a number of vetted families who are seeking aid. And there are folks like Aaron Hadamer and Yuval and others who are providing additional ways that you can help if you are in a position to do so.
That's right, folks. Give your money to Palestinians because they are in more dire need and have less access to power and resources. Don't give anything to the powerful Israelis who experienced the worst attack on them in a single day since the Holocaust, an attack that is comparable to 9/11 when taking population into account. But don't support them because they have more power. Just give more money to Gaza, the people who elected the terrorist organization of Hamas. Give them money. Give money to a place where the majority of people support the terrorist organization of Hamas. But to give to the families of the Israelis whose sons, daughters, and parents were massacred? No link for them. Not even going to mention organizations that help them. Not one word about supporting the massacred Israeli Jews. This is the evil and sickness of the woke extremist Dan McClellan. This despicable, degenerate, brain-dead loser, useful idiot, and enemy of the Jewish people, in my opinion. The Quran says about infidels like McClellan in Surah 456, "Surely those who reject our signs, we will cast them into the fire. Whenever their skin is burnt completely, we will replace it so they will constantly taste the punishment. Indeed, Allah is Almighty, All-Wise." It's amazing that McClellan wants to help people who not only believe he and his family will burn in hell forever, but they also believe that they should fight him in the name of Allah. Surah 929 says, "Fight those who do not believe in Allah and the Last Day, nor comply with what Allah and His Messenger have forbidden, nor embrace the religion of truth from among those who were given the scripture, until they pay the tax, willingly submitting, fully humbled. He will gladly help people who believe this." But secular Jewish Israelis? Not a word from this sick, woke extremist idiot. In the most difficult time for Israeli Jews, when the Muslim world and so many idiotic Western countries are lying and attacking Israel, who does he support? The Palestinians. Of course he does. What can you expect from an extremist woke academic? Can you expect them to be on the right side of history? Almost never. But it gets even worse. This scumbag spreads the lie of genocide against Israel.
Integrational polytheism. Thank you so much for the question. Can you comment on Israel's current political situation? When it comes to the political situation there, I distinguish Israel's leadership and institution from their people, and I think that their institution and leadership are doing great harm to the people as well as to the people of Gaza. And I think that whatever institution you might be able to speak of within among the Palestinian people that is, they're lashing out because they're in a position of desperation. I don't approve of the harm that is being done there either. And my biggest concern is for the people as well. You talked about biblical genocide, but scholars seem very quiet about real current genocide. I think it's quite clear that the campaign that is underway has a genocidal dimension to it, and I condemn and reject what their leadership are doing. But I'm not an expert on modern geopolitics, and there are a lot of other people in the online space who can speak with a lot more expertise to that than I can. But I'll just say that I think there are a lot of people who are engaged in all different kinds of identity politics that are obscuring the difference between these institutions and their leadership and the people who are being influenced by it. And I think on both sides that is harmful. But certainly the harm to human life, the destruction of human life, is overwhelmingly coming from the leadership in Israel. But thank you for that question. And yeah, it's heartbreaking what's going on over there. And I have friends over there. I have been over there, and I've seen. It's just heartbreaking what's going on to both groups of people.
My blood boils with hatred toward this devilish scum. The idea that Israel is in any way committing a genocide is a lie akin to the blood libel. There is no evidence for it whatsoever. All the evidence is against it, as I will show. Anyone who perpetuates this lie should be suspected of antisemitism and evil intent. No sane, rational person can possibly believe that Israel is committing anything even close to genocide. The suggestion is despicable and evil. Here is what an actual scholar says about this topic. Dr. Matthew Bolton wrote in Antisemitism in Online Communication, "Given this history and the interrelation of the concept with the Holocaust and the State of Israel, the claim that Israel has committed, is committing, or intends to commit genocide upon the Palestinian population across the Middle East, that Israel seeks to wipe the Palestinians from the face of the earth, is one of the most incendiary charges that can be made of the Jewish state. It is true that claims of genocide are, to an extent, a routine presence within passionate online political debate in the UK. Witness the claims that Boris Johnson's Conservative government was seeking to commit genocide by delaying the introduction of COVID-19 lockdowns. But when aimed at Israel, so that the victims of the most extreme genocide in history become the perpetrators, it represents an aggravating factor which goes beyond the frenzied hyperbole that characterizes much political discourse online. The accusation of Israeli genocide is often combined with disapproval of Jews' supposed moral failure to learn the lessons of their past. Plazinta 2024b. Claims that Israel has perpetrated or is perpetrating a genocide upon the Palestinians can be debunked on a purely empirical basis. As Philip Spencer notes, they are without foundation in relation to what the Genocide Convention specifies. There is no evidence of an intent on the part of the Israeli state to annihilate the Palestinians as a group. The Palestinian population has not shrunk or disappeared over the course of Israel's existence. Quite the opposite. According to the World Bank, in 1990, the Palestinian population in the West Bank and Gaza was around 2 million. By 2019, it stood at around 4.9 million, more than a 100% rise over a period which included the Second Intifada and numerous violent conflicts between Israel and Palestine. No political party in Israel advocates for the extermination of the Palestinian people. There are extreme factions which argue for the transfer of the Palestinian population. But this has never been a serious policy, nor has it gained any serious support amongst either Israeli politicians or public. There is no program for the removal of Palestinian children from their parents to Israeli families, as was the case in colonial genocides such as that of Aboriginal Australians. There is no systematic destruction of Palestinian, Arab, or Islamic cultural or religious artifacts, as would be needed to substantiate the weaker claim of cultural genocide. A description of the 2023-24 Israeli military actions in Gaza as genocidal, that is, a military campaign with the express intent to destroy the Palestinian population as such, relies on a similar distortion of the historical record. In the first place, it means downplaying or ignoring what could rationally be depicted as the genocidal nature of Hamas's 7 October attacks themselves, in which the clear purpose was to kill as many people as possible, regardless of civilian or military status, age, or sex, in the time available. If Hamas's actions are, on the contrary, understood as being motivated by genocidal intent, then Israel would fall foul of the Genocide Convention by not taking action against the group. Second, it means redescribing what is a war between the Israeli army and Hamas military units as a one-sided bombardment of civilians by Israel. It further entails ignoring Israeli attempts to warn civilians prior to attacks and to encourage them to move out of targeted areas, and failing to examine whether Hamas is preventing them from doing so. Third, it means dismissing without consideration the Israeli claim that the ratio of civilians to combatants killed by Israel in Gaza is much lower than other equivalent conflicts, and a long way from the total destruction implied by the concept of genocide, while accepting at face value the death figures provided by Hamas-run health agencies. Fourth, it means ignoring any role Hamas has played in commandeering food and aid meant to be distributed to civilians. Finally, it means removing any responsibility for the continuation of the war from the leaders of Hamas, who could immediately end the fighting by releasing the remaining Israeli hostages and handing themselves in to the International Criminal Court. Thus, as with the more general accusation of Israeli genocide, the specific accusation in the case of 2023-24 war can only be made through a long series of historical and conceptual distortions, although the final ICJ decision may, of course, impact this analysis. Understanding the origins and spread of the idea of a supposedly genocidal Israeli state therefore entails leaving the world of empirical fact behind and entering the realm of political and symbolic orders. The concept of Israeli genocide sits within a constellation of related anti-Semitic stereotypes and analogies, particularly those which seek to posit an equivalence or identity between Israel or Zionism and Nazi Germany. It is monstrous that McClellan blamed Israel in any way for what is happening. Hamas is a terrorist organization that took hostages and refused to surrender. The war would have ended the moment they surrendered and released the hostages. To blame Israel for any of this is pure evil. To accuse Israel of having any genocidal intent is evil, as David Brogg explains.
Perhaps there have been some isolated war crimes, and no army is perfect.
Of course.
No army
Of course.
operates with soldiers who don't make mistakes and don't commit crimes. But to leap from that very precise allegation to the allegation of genocide, right, which is sensitive with a people who suffered one of the greatest, if not the greatest genocide in the history of humanity, the Jewish people. Making that leap is what persuades so many of us that you're not serious, that you're not really interested in protecting Palestinian lives, that you're not really interested in giving Israeli soldiers a fair day of judgment, because this allegation is so much at odds with their reality. Let's keep in mind what genocide is. Genocide is in intentionally murdering a people, making efforts with the intention of wiping out a people, not only combatants, but civilians. So when you herd families into gas chambers, you're committing a genocide. You're trying to wipe out a people. If Israel wanted to commit a genocide against Palestinians, they could have done so any day of this war and before this war. Instead, what did they do? Instead, Israel went in with precision, with warnings that gave up the element of surprise constantly, and ended up achieving what, according to every military expert I've seen, says is the best combat to civilian casualty ratio that's been achieved in urban warfare in modern times. You look at the Hamas numbers, which I think are inflated. Hamas numbers always inflate and include among the dead people we find out were killed not by Israel, but by Palestinian missiles aimed at Israeli civilians that fell short. But let's take the Palestinian number, 40,000 casualties, approximately. Let's take the Israeli numbers, which tend to be more accurate. 20,000 of them were combatants. It's a combatant to civilian casualty ratio of 1 to 1. Ask any expert to achieve that in modern warfare, modern urban warfare, especially against an enemy that is so aggressive in its use of human shields as Hamas is nothing short of miraculous, nothing short of a supremely successful effort to separate innocents from combatants and go after only the combatants. This didn't just happen easily. Israel had to make decisions that cost Israeli lives to achieve this ratio. Israel could have easily bombed sites from the skies if they didn't care so much about Palestinian casualties and kept their soldiers safer. Instead, they sent their soldiers to go door by booby-trapped door to hunt down Hamas and expose themselves to risk to minimize civilian casualties. There are Israeli boys that have come home in body bags and Israeli parents who have gotten that horrific knock at the door or phone call telling them their child has fallen, only because Israel decided to risk the lives of their soldiers to spare the lives of innocent Palestinian civilians. So it's very rich for me to see Israel's critics sit on the sidelines and use that word genocide and ignore the sacrifice and the effort made to achieve what is the opposite of genocide, one of the best records, the best record in urban combat.
Jewish people are sick to death of Western academic idiots spreading lies about Israel. Anyone who perpetuates these lies is no friend of the Jews. They are, in fact, enemies of the Jewish people.